who's going to win, and Zaitop has won since. The horse with the white face in fourth, as you see these pictures, has run only respectably since, and the first two did draw some way clear of Centurio, but I think he's going to improve for that, and that puts him into the picture.
Yeah, very much so. Zaitopa took a conditions race at Epsom the other day, and he doesn't look a sort of flashy 2-year-old. He looks like he might progress, but he's not flashy.
No, he's a bit like his mother, Katsia actually, is who the Oaks winner, who really just never knew when she was beaten.
Yeah, difficult to put that sort of quality, inverted commas, into any sort of context, I think. Let's take a look at Calypso King, who's run well twice and now steps up in trip. Pastoral Player was the winner this day. Hughie Morrison's runner, who was among the favourites for the Redcar 2-year-old trophy without taking part at the weekend. He'll come from off the pace left of picture. You can see right off your screen is our contender today, Calypso King.
Yeah, no match for Loxley Hall, a speedy horse in the noseband as well, who made a lot of the running and quickened away. And Pastoral Player is extremely well thought of by his trainer, so well thought of that he was more disappointed that horse had not got in the stalls at Redcar on Saturday than he was delighted by having a Cambridgeshire winner. But so you'll see the first two quickly put 4 or 5 lengths between them and Calypso King, who did make a significant improvement on his first run at Windsor when he was not knocked about once the front two had gone home. I think that was an improvement coming here. A bit of experience at the course. Not a certainty to go well over the extra 2 furlongs, I wouldn't have thought. It's quite a step up in trip for a horse who's quite on his toes, showed plenty of speed, and I wouldn't have thought that the mile is a certainty to be within his bounds this season.
At this stage?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's...
he's certainly, he's got plenty of staying blood in his pedigree, and he ought to get a mile, but I just thought the way he's raced in his first 2 outings, it could be beyond him.
I thought Premier Colours showed enough speed and maybe in total enough promise first time up in a Newmarket race that has worked out not bad.
Yeah, critical moment. The third came out and won here. He only just scrambled home, but I think that was a fair effort. And the 5th White Dart won and was placed in a nursery and then won one off a lowish mark, a mark in the mid-60s. And the 4th White Dart, which finished just in front of Primary Colours. But there was a lot of promise from that run for his Primary Colours. I think he's got to improve to bridge the gap with the likes of Centurio, Calypso King, Tactician on the form, but he's going to improve.
I guess he's got to improve, likely will improve, but then the others are perhaps likely to do the same. Regal Park we touched on briefly, but given the pedigree, given the connections, you'd be hopeful of a decent run first time up. Did you get that indication from the paddock?
Yeah, related to Walk in the Park, who finished second to Motivator in the Derby, so I think the mile should be fine. I thought he looked fit enough. He's not 100%. Bit to work on, just as you'd want first time out, really. Pretty relaxed, and we've seen 2 races dominated by the horses that have already had a run, and so not having had a run has to be taken as some sort of negative, and the level of form we've seen from the principals who have run is high in this race, so got to be smart to be a newcomer winning this, I would think.
A database probably has a slightly more long-term pedigree. What did you make of him in the paddock?
I felt he had a bit of filling out to do, a little bit angular, he's quite big, but not really
proportioned quite yet.
That's exactly the point I was trying to make. Brilliant.
Rarely from this corner. They're about to go behind. Let's touch on some of the others down the list. John Gosden's got a Shamadal colt here. Tack Lead has got the Derby entry, as a few have today. Like
many of the Gosden horses, he looks as though the run is going to do him good. They normally improve markedly from first to second run, but it doesn't stop them running well when they look backward, and he does certainly look on the backward side.
And I did want to ask you about the filly down the bottom, On Key, the Hughie Morrison Travis Block runner.
A little bit green, nowhere near as bad as stablemate Stadium of Light, and just in need of the run, but I thought she looked more forward than Stadium of Light and less keyed up.
At Bombadero I didn't actually see, I have to say, in the paddock.
No, I saw him. He's Chip off the Old Block, a family that John Dunlop's done really well with down the years, a staying family, but backward.
Yeah. Dam didn't win a race, but she has thrown winners, including a big bad Bob, you recall, who ran Criskin close en route to his Derby up at Chester. They are falling behind them. What are you hoping for here? What are you expecting?
Well, I'd have to be slightly against Calypso King at the trip. I just think it is a big jump in trip. And Tactician, I was a little bit worried with the way he's just acting going out on the course, but then Hayley Turner got him under control. I'm hoping Travari will run a lot better than first time. He's got some scope to improve.
Best turned out?
Yeah, Primary Colours has got to improve to win the race, but will improve. Centurio, I think he didn't look as though he's got much speed, but you know he's going to stay, and 10-1 is a fair price.
Well, I guess tactically what's about to happen, they've come sort of middle to stands, they've gone up the middle so far. Will they tack across to the far side?
No, I think Richard Hughes will bring them over to the stand side on Calypso King, but that's a complete guess.
OK, loading forward then. Don't think it's going to be too much longer. In fact, about half a dozen to go in. Calypso King has gone forward as well. Of the others that we didn't mention, Zagarok, Mount Athos, actually a newcomer, Monsieur.
Yeah, we saw him going down just in front of the Tactician. Looked a bit keen, a bit free, a bit green in the preliminaries.
Passionate Cry, American bred, didn't show a great deal first time up at Kempton.
No, improvement needed, and I thought still looked as though he needed the run.
You've got Kingston Acacia stepping up in trip. Zagarok, who completely blew it at the start last time out at Leicester as well, as they load forward. Kingston Acacia, I think, is about to load up, so shouldn't be too much longer.
There's an Ashleen soft ground pedigree.
2 to load. Here's Ian.
Kingston Acacia then still to go into stall number 8, comes in, and that's it, lined up. They're off. They race away with a mile in front of them. Mount Athos from stall number 4 wasn't that well into stride. Stadium of Light is towards the back of the field also, as Kingston Acacia's one of the first to show, with Passionate Cry. On key is up there, and against the rails is Calypso King in the black and red. Zagarok is in a prominent position. Desert Asling just in behind these runners from Centurio, and then comes Database and Tactician with Tack lead in the blue and white over the far side. Travari is just ahead of this. Stadium of Light comes next as they move down towards the halfway stage. Then Bombadero further back behind this, the light blue and maroon of Regal Park, who's well towards the back of the field. But this is halfway, and it is Calypso King with in second place Nose Bandit Kingston Acacia. Then on key onto the right. Behind these, Passionate Cry being ridden along. Desert Asling is up there. Tactician still well back in mid-division. Primary Colours in the red jacket against the rails, not far behind. Database is there. Zagarok with a bit of a chance. Centurio behind these. At the 2 marker, and the leaders cruising. Calypso King and Richard Hughes is going miles clear of these now. In second position still is Kingston Acacia, but it's a good 5 lengths behind the leader. Further then back into third position to Primary Colours, and then comes Database, but this lot didn't see where Calypso King went. It has made all and absolutely romped up. It's at least 10 clear. Centurio's coming through into second place in the closing stages, but Calypso King is a lot better than this lot. In second place, Centurio. Database is going to come home in third place, and Tactician another 7. Let's back in fourth.
Incredulous call from Ian Bartlett, with Calypso King absolutely stone dead from the front. Richard Hughes, who was brilliant. They allowed him to be, in truth, and questions will be asked of those in behind. Centurio, who travelled well enough, but further back. Database, highly promising, given he needs to be furnished and to improve physically, and he's got a pedigree that will perhaps allow him to do that in time. Tactician only 4th. Another question mark about the coordinated cut. Doncaster form, or is there? Well, all the plaudits, full plaudits to Richard Hughes on a colt who had experience, had a good draw, got to the front. It was an uncontested lead, and he has absolutely murdered them here, but they let him.
7 lengths in the end. There was a big advantage by being able to gain a nice easy lead, and we haven't got a time. Something's gone wrong with the timing mechanism, which is rather a trifle annoying on a day when you really like to hear the times, but can't be helped. An easy lead for Calypso King against the stands. I was worried about the trip, but it was fairly obvious from about 3 furlongs out, at least 3 furlongs out, that he was running all over them without having to expend much energy, and he has blitzed them, possibly more for speed than stamina, because he hasn't had to stay to beat these. Centurio looked a stayer last time, and so it proved. He wasn't asked to lie up, but I'm not sure he'd have been able to, as Centurio, Calypso King just nipped across to the rail, which I'm sure is a little bit of an advantage here today, and was cruising.
Well, he's by a mile stroke 10 furlong classic horse out of an Oaks placed Calypso Katie. There are quotes of 33-1 for next season's Derby. The problem is that's with Victor Chandler, by the way. We can't really draw too many conclusions because of the way the race unfolded.
Yeah, Kingston Acacia was the one who got nearest in the early stages. The noseband against further back behind him on the rail, his primary colours in the red. Out in the middle of the course, blue and green colours, Passionate Cry having a go. And they all had a go, these slightly less fancied horses, but they weren't ever able to get near him. And Hughes has really got it well. He's weighted in front, he's got the fractions spot on. If he wanted to win by 7 lengths, that is, because he could have won by considerably lesser margin had he so desired. But once again, Centurio hasn't looked as though he's got real gears, but he does stay very well and plugged on into second. Database, inexperienced compared to the first two home, has run respectably in third. But that's all you can say, really, because the winners won so easily, you just wonder what the others have achieved.
And the winner's just coming back in. He is having a fair sweat as well, an enthusiastic tug on the reins. He's actually not at this stage the tallest.
No, perhaps he does look as though there's plenty of energy left, doesn't he? He doesn't look that tired at all. I think there was an advantage with that rail, and certainly an advantage to be able to cruise up early on. But you mustn't take too much away from this colt. It's a very taking performance. Yeah,
it's just I guess a difficult one to be too dogmatic about qualitatively.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only thing you can say is Centurio has a decent level of form. The horse that finished first in his Sandown race, Saitopa, has gone on to better things. Tactician had a level of form that's perhaps not working out as well as people thought it might, but a decent effort first time out, and they were beaten 8 lengths and 11 lengths, so or 7 lengths and 11 lengths. Database, the Godolphin horse, they've got a powerful group of 2-year-olds, and he held his position in the market fairly well, so was expected to run some sort of race, I guess. So we mustn't take much away from this, and he's a good performance.
Yeah, indeed. Enjoying the moment, the Hannons, and Sir David Seal, who has enjoyed a good week to fortnight. Sir Parky successful at Newmarket recently as well in those colours. Let's get the details before we head off to Wincanton.
He was returned at 11-2, Calypso King, from Centurio at 9-1 and Database at 7-1. Tactician was sent off the 7-4 favourite. Never looked like landing a blow and eventually plugged on to finish 4th. The non-runner was Dauncey Park, so it left 16 of them. There's no official time for this race, as Eddie told you. The Racing UK hand time clocks it at 1 minute 39.6, which puts it about 3.6 seconds above standard.
Victor Chandler, the punters bookmaker for over 60 years.
Runners still bathed in autumn sunshine, leaving the parade ring for the next at Wincanton. It is the Kingwell Handicap Hurdle, not to be confused with the Kingwell Hurdle, which is slightly more valuable and run over 6 furlongs shorter. 3 absentees, Wait for the Light, Mr. TP and Flag Flyer, are all out, so it leaves a field of 9. Brunasai is ridden by Davy Russell, Transvestite Mark Bradburn, Prince Nora Richard Johnson,